Unfortunately, the way that we have evolved and the way that we are wired now as human beings has set us up to make emotional decisions that we then justify with logic. Now, there's nothing wrong with your feelings and there's nothing wrong with listening to your gut or your intuition. However, most of the time, the choices that we are making that majorly impact our lives come from a place of reaction. So we're really just seeing what happens and then we feel a feeling and then we say, well, because I feel this, I'm going to do this. So for example, you make an investment, you've used logic and reason to find out why this might be a good choice, and then that investment drops 50% in value in the next week. Typical, right? Just when you invested, that's when it started dropping. And then you get an emotional response and you say, hey, I'm gonna sell this because clearly it's going down and I don't want to lose even more. Now, what smart people do is they buy you out on that dip, on that lower price, and then they make a 4x or 5x in the next few months, or maybe the next few years. Really, really hurts to be on the reaction side of that, and it's actually really great to be on the other side where you're using logic, reason, and evidence. So if you want to improve your decision making, take a look at a different filter. Try a different type of process on for size and see how it impacts your life. The process that I'm suggesting is that you start using logic, reason, and evidence. Now, in order to be able to actually apply this new filter, you're going to have to drop the old one first. And this is uncomfortable because this is how you've been taught and wired, and this is what you're naturally inclined to do. So you're going to have resistance and you're going to want to slip back into the old ways. However, if you stay strong and you make the decision that you're going to test out this new theory, this new approach for a while to see what kind of yield and result it has in your life, then you should be able to stick through. It might also make you question yourself a little bit more, because when you'll be making choices, you'll probably be asking yourself, is this an emotional reaction or am I applying the new process that I committed to? Also, I recommend that you set a time frame. Are you going to do this forever? Or are you going to try it out for a year? Or are you going to try it out for a few weeks and see how it impacts your life? Whatever you choose, stick to it, because there's another piece to this equation, and you need to really hear me out on this if you're going to apply this new technique. There will be times where you make a high quality decision, a good choice, but your result, your outcome will be poor. It will be bad. And when that happens, you'll start to question your whole framework and your whole approach. Please understand that sometimes, even if it was a good decision, you will get bit in the ass and you will have downside. This also happens if you're making a bad decision. Sometimes that can lead to a good outcome. The problem with that is it teaches your brain that you can make bad choices and get away with it. In which case it's easy to make bad choices, so you can keep doing it. A great example of this is if you eat fast food for one day. You know, if you eat it one day or even once a week for a few weeks, nothing will really happen. But if you eat it every day, excessive amounts, right, for months and months, what's going to happen to your body? You might even feel good the first time that you eat it. It's so delicious, it tastes great, you're making a bad choice and you're getting a great result right up front. But the long-term payoff is not payoff. It's a debt that you're accumulating. And eventually that debt that you're building up will either eat you alive and take your health, or you'll have to pay it back by exercising, eating well. So really let that sink in and understand the fact that if you make bad decisions, sometimes you'll still have good outcomes. And if you make a good decision, sometimes you'll still have really bad outcomes. Then start to apply, commit with the timeline that you've set for yourself, and use the new system. And watch your results, look at the outcomes, but be mindful of the fact that sometimes, even though you're doing the right thing, you'll get the wrong result. And in order to apply this new framework, just ask yourself, what's the logic behind this decision? What is the reasoning that I'm using behind this decision? And what is the actual proof or evidence that this is a good choice? Also, in order to optimize it and make it work at its best, question whether or not the proof and evidence you're using is subjective. Is it just your evidence that you found through your experience of life, or is it actual tangible logical evidence? Don't let yourself fall into the trap where you're just looking through your own eyes and you're not applying a greater sense of knowledge and understanding of the world and the people in it. The best way to practice this would also be to actually write it down and work through it in your journal, because that way you're taking it out of your head and putting it on paper, or put it somewhere digitally on a tablet or a computer or your phone, whatever you like, and just make sure that you actually work through it physically in some way, because that way you're getting a little bit of space between you and the decision-making process, and you can look at things a little more objectively. You won't be as caught up as you will be if you try to do all of this in your head. Now, the feeling that you might be sat with as you're taking all of this in might be, oh, this is a lot more effort. I'm going to have to use my brain a lot, and this is tiring. And is it really worth it? Well, try it. Even if it's just for 14 days or 30 days, really test it out and see what kind of differences you notice in your life. Look at all the small decisions you're making on a daily basis that are on repeat and start there. Look at the food that you're eating. Look at your exercise routines. Look at your overall daily habits and question them and put them through this filter. Also, look at some of your major life choices, maybe even the ones that you've made up to this point, and ask yourself, if I had applied this filter, what kind of road would I have chosen? Would it have been the same one as I did, or would I have changed something? And then look at what the potential outcome of that might have been. Now, of course, you're guessing a little bit here, but just a rough estimate might be a good idea. Finally, don't clog up your brain too much and don't overdo it. When you're just introducing this into your life, you don't have to use it everywhere. Take it slow and do reasonable amounts so that you don't overwhelm. Finally, if you want some help improving your decision-making skills and your overall life skills and just making yourself a better human being, hop over to erafael.com. The link is in the description. Over there, you can book a call with me one-on-one to talk and see if we're a good fit to work together. If we are, I'll be coaching you one-on-one personally, guiding you through each choice, helping you build great habits, and helping you really create the life that you desire. Again, if you want to take advantage of the free call to see if we're a good fit, just go over to erafael.com. Like I said, the link is in the description. As always, I hope you have enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you on the next one.